All right, welcome to Stampscapes Live. I have a piece of 5x7 blue holographic foil that I have spray sealed, all right, with a spray fixative. And then I have stamped out my large birch trees, art foamy style birch trees, with white brilliance ink onto that surface. And then I have spray sealed those birch trees off again. And the reason for that is because some of these foils, I think a lot of them, when they're a colored foil, it's just that ink printed right over the top of like a silver foil, okay? And that's the case with both of these types of foils. This one's more of your, I don't know, just cheap Recollections brand type of foil. Cheap, but yeah, I'm talking about inexpensive. But good. But when I stamped out these birch trees using that white brilliance ink right over the top of them, I kept the impression down, the stamp down for a long time and in contact with the paper. But then when I lifted it, I could see that blue ink from the foil was already permeating the ink from the brilliance impressions, okay? And I can actually see some of the transfer of that blue ink on my surface right here. I don't know if that means it's a water-based ink that's used on here or what, but I thought it worked out pretty good. It kind of gave it almost a glow-in-the-dark kind of look to it. But I wanted those trees a little bit lighter and brighter, if could be, okay? So what I've done is I've spray sealed this one right here, and I'm sure that worked because my impressions here, which are dry and locked down with an additional layer of sealant, are much whiter than these ones here, okay? So this one right here, I don't know, it has a pretty cool look to it. Some of these impressions are white over the top of it because I spray sealed this again, and then I did these other impressions over the top of that sealed birch tree. So I just wanted to give myself a little bit of a head start with that entire process by spray sealing it first and then stamping these out like this. Hello, Patty and Cynthia, how are you? Hope you had a great weekend, holiday, etc. But okay, let's get right into this one right here. This is going to be a real quick card right here. I haven't tried this on this foil yet, so I don't know what it's going to look like, but I've liked these first two experiments right here. This is how I kind of do these things. One thing kind of leads to another. So when I stamped out the white birch trees on this one, I thought some of those impressions kind of look kind of cool. And then I added my white highlighting, and then I stamped the birch trees over it in black again like that so we can get those birch tree textures like that. But I do like just the look of the birch tree in white ink and then toned in a little bit more. So let's see if that technique will hold up against this much louder holographic style of a cardstock here. I think I'm a little bit out of focus. There we go. Okay, so again, these are locked down now with a spray sealant. So I'm going to go in and we'll tone in some of these trees here. Before I do that, let's add in our moon in here. I just think the moon makes for a kind of a good anchoring focal point in the scene. Okay, 100% cotton ball. And then to get rid of that real fuzzy type of cotton ball texture like that, but we still want it soft as a cotton ball, we squish it down like that, and you get a nice flat surface to work with. Hello, Candy. Hey, you can use that holographic on something like this if you like it. Of course, this one's the blue one. You probably have the gold and the pinkish tones and all that. Okay, let's go with the moon somewhere. Well, how about right here? Okay, and I'll transition this a little bit. I need more ink. So I'm going like this. I'm adding quite a bit up top like that, okay? And then as I tap this out and move down the moon, my cotton ball gets a little drier here. I need to keep adding a little bit more. So I like a varied moon in terms of the lightness of it. It just, I don't know, it adds in like one extra little, kind of transitioning variation into a pretty significant visual kind of focal point of a scene. So if something's, holding a lot of interest, you want to bring in, if possible, a little bit of extra visual interest to it. I mean, you can make it all white if you want to, but I tend to think that this kind of varied moon is just a little bit more interesting. I like that right there. Add a little bit more than you think you're going to need, though, because when we spray seal this, the sealant, or the spray fixative in this case, is going to make that white look a little bit more see-through. And also, when you apply that white onto this type of cardstock, or anything dark, it tends to dry more see-through as well. So I add a little bit more. Okay, so the easiest masking you'll ever do on these birch trees. These birch trees are varied. They're not just, I didn't make them with a ruler or something like that, or draw them, but they're straight enough to where you can just use a piece of paper like this, okay? All right, now I have all this holographic texturing, patterning, I guess, showing right through my birch trees like that. So it looks like they're see-through, which they are right now. So I don't want to make them all opaque because I'm just going to be using white ink on here and not going in with like another impression over the top of them with black ink. So I'm going to vary these a little bit. So I'm going to go with some ink, and I'm going to apply that on the side of the tree facing the moon. And I'll vary it slightly, okay? I'm talking about from top to bottom. So see, I'm adding a little bit more right there, and then there's less here, and then a little bit more up there. Here, I'll do it, and it'll be a little bit more apparent. See, I don't know, my hand's like a sewing machine, just kind of going up and down like this in one area. And it takes me a while, because I'm also kind of, if I get a blob of white ink and I can see it, what I'm doing is I'm tapping this, I'm kind of moving it around a little bit more. I'm trying to spread it out. And that's one of the good things about using this type of ink like this, is that it's real malleable. You can move it around and you can blend it, and it'll give you plenty of time to do that. All right, so there is our trunk like that. And you see, it's kind of, lighter right there where it's thicker, and then there's less, a little bit more. So you're oscillating your application of, in this case, it's lighting. That's a little bit too light, maybe. So let's blot some of that out like that. So again, it's kind of oscillating the light and dark, just like we did on our moon like that. And we'll do that on all trees, except on this tree, to the left side of the moon, I'll illuminate the right side instead of the left side like these ones. Hello, Norm! Oh wait, Norm? Yeah, not, I thought, oh, it's Meister. That's Linda there. Okay, so as I mentioned in my previous video, what I'm going to do is I'm looking at this right here, and I might kind of put my lighting slightly different from the tree to its immediate right. Okay, so that's heavier right there with the white and heavier right there, so I might go heavier right in the middle like this, okay? Now you can do this with the rubber stamp version of these foamies, but the foam version of these is just bigger, so that's why I'm working with this one as opposed to the rubber version. But again, just with the rubber version, you just have to kind of be careful that you don't kind of go over, your tree trunk. And if you do, you just take it and wipe it off, with a, whatever, cotton ball, whatever sponge rag. All right, so you can see there's our trees. I need to go a little bit more on this loud, you know, holographic pattern. Again, I'm not going to try to block out that holographic patterning 100% because that, you know, then I would lose all the texturing on my birch trees. I just need to kind of mute it down. I need to make it slightly quieter than, oh, just impression on holographic. Okay. All right. Not like that. So it's getting a little bit more. I don't know. I think that's enough. See, like right here. I don't know. It seems like just a little bit of white pigment ink is blocking that out pretty good. I see. I thought I would have that patterning showing right through that. Like if I go like that, and you can see it a little bit, but that's okay. Oh, okay. Okay, I see it coming through right here. Where I didn't add any of it, but I don't know. That it doesn't. It's not distracting to me. I think the trees look like they're, you know, pretty good in front of that. I mean, this is as loud a paper as you can get too. So, or a background, you know, for an open type of design. So I think that's working out pretty good. I thought it would be. I thought that holographic would show through a little bit more. I wouldn't use the stays on. I wouldn't spray the stays on candy. But you can, I don't think you can do this part with the stays on ink. I think when you go like this with the stays on, by the time you get over here and start tapping it, I think it's dry. Okay, so if you do this with the some additional lighting, you know, I would spray that. I spray sell this. Okay, let's do this on this other side. So okay, so this is great if this is if it looks like it's going to work as it looks like initially here. So if this works on this blue, you know, I would think that this will work just fine on the gold and, you know, the red and the pink style of holographics. If it's in the same patterning. I think this will look great on just your regular style of holographic. You know, like this type too. But there's just more contrast in the darker ones than the silver one. So you might have to add more like white ink or something like that if you do this. Okay, so there's those trees like that. This one needs a little bit more variation, but you see where those thicker areas of white look, how they look on this one. See, this one's not quite as varied. It's more of an even coating like that, right up and down the entire length of it. So let's add in some heavier applications. And I'll do it, I don't know, kind of selectively, but the position of the, you know, where you select to do it isn't important, just that you do vary it. So it's a little bit thicker with white ink down here, here, and let's go way up here and give, you know, put a little bit of space in between that. It's almost kind of a blobby application of it. Okay. So you see that right there? Light, dark, light, dark, light. And here it's like lighter, darker, lighter, darker, lighter, darker. And here it's kind of light, but it's a little bit varied right there. And it's not because I targeted at that, okay? That's just the way it came out when I was applying this, okay? I wasn't like thinking, okay, I need that to curve over. It's not that, you know, detailed of a, you know, kind of a technique application process. A lot of it is just, hey, that's the way it came out, you know, when I was applying it. So don't sweat, you know, like the small things, just kind of let, something's going to happen. Just let it happen. you know. That being said, I'm saying, I don't know. I mean, you might be able to, one of you guys might be able to, or some of you might be able to target, kind of like the, minutia types of things that are happening within that application. I can't, or I don't know. It's not something that's, really important to me though. So I don't really even try. Okay, so let's add in kind of a little snow bank in the background. And I'll try not to go over my birch trunks too much. Okay, so the spray sealing seems to have helped. Spray sealing before I even did any of these techniques on here. I think it's keeping my white ink that I'm applying a little bit more pure. It's not mixing with that blue ink on this blue holographic foil. Okay, it was probably, like I said in the beginning of this, it's probably a silver foil that they've just apply the blue ink on top, and that would be the same for the the packs, the multicolored pack. It's all those inks just kind of applied to silver, I believe. Okay, let's try to add a little bit more white in one of these areas. I'll do it right on the top of this little, whatever, snowbank, like that. All right. Boy, that looks pretty three-dimensional, doesn't it? What are we at? We're at 17 minutes. Okay, this is like I don't know, 20-something minutes into this thing. So it's really not too bad in terms of, what I was kind of thinking this would be, which is a kind of a quick card. We're just, again, we're starting off with a pretty dynamic piece of paper right here. White impressions over the top of it. But we've just tweaked it a little bit. We've spray sealed this surface for the purpose of using this type of ink, like that. And then just gone in and added the highlighting in there. So we don't really have to do shading because the paper is already dark. So just the, just the retention of, the color of the paper is giving me the shadows on the opposite sides of the trunks like that. But I'm pretty happy with, the degree at which they stand out against that background like that, just in the white ink without having to go into the black. Okay, so let's go in here with the, I'm going to use my Tiny Rocks stamp here. I'll clean off the stamp like this, and I've applied the white ink down here, but I'm going to go in and I'll do some reverse impressions on here, like that. Okay, so it gives me, almost looks like footsteps like that. So it gives me a little bit of a reverse texturing kind of within that snowy area like that. So it's the yin and yang. So we're doing kind of removal of some ink like that. So it reveals the darker reverse, shapes of this image like this. And then let me use my juicier white pad here. And then we'll add in some white ones in these little darker areas down here. I guess if you take away, one thing from this video here, it's I try to go for variation in all things. So we have a light source in there. It's a little bit lighter up top and it's a little darker. These trunks right here are a little bit lighter on one area, darker in another area. This area down here, this snowy area is lighter up here and darker down here. And then you can even do like different shapes like this. You can do darker shapes of that same shape, but it also has the lighter ones in there. So it kind of gives you a nice, rich end result surface like that. All right, let's go for some of the winter brush here. I think this is my favorite one so far. And like the thing that I really like about this is that kind of what I'm applying down here, it's not really changing on me. Now doing this just on the raw surface of this one, as I was doing things and applying that ink on there, it was changing on me because I hadn't sealed this off like I did with this one initially. So I can see like this, just the white is staying white, like this moon is staying nice and light. Now when I spray it again, it might get a little bit darker just because I'm going to be manipulating the ink a little bit. But it's not changing because the ink is kind of permeating. I'm talking about the blue ink. The blue ink isn't permeating the white. Okay, this is my winter brush right here, stamped in white. I really love this design. I need to use it more often. It's not just for winter in reverse, but I use it for a lot of different things. So see that down there? And look at that, it really stands out against that background. Here it is down here, like that, in the two corners. Let's see if I have room for this elk here. I'm using this in a lot of my cards these past, I don't know, what is it, 2 weeks or so. The white stag type of thing. Busy making Christmas cards. That sounds like fun. Are you doing all the same Christmas cards, Linda? Or are you doing a variety of different cards? Yes. I will spray this when done. These inks will dry on here. The Brilliance inks will dry on here, but they're not locked down. Yeah, that one's by far. This is the strongest one by spray sealing first. Again, this has its own kind of look to it. One of the things I was saying is this looks like it's glowing in the dark almost with those images. But this one has that stronger, you know, kind of I don't know, more. The things are standing out against the background much stronger in this one. All right, so let's take a look at this and let's add in some extra highlighting. Now on this one right here, I think the highlighting is going to make a little bit more. I was going to say this one's going to make a little bit more sense. Okay, I didn't. You know, when I applied this white ink, those little highlights right on here, I guess some of that blue permeated that white because it's not very, you know, light, my white highlighting on here, except down here. That one stands out quite a bit, but anyway, but white on white will, you know, kind of make a little bit more sense because these highlights are supposed to be reflecting, you know, the lighting coming from that moon there. So if you have a nice bright moon, then it would make sense that you'd have some decent reflected light, you know, reflecting back that same kind of the strength of light. Okay. All right, so we'll put some highlights on the insides of these trees on the side that the moon is casting its light from. Okay, so I'm going like this. I'm flipping my card upside down because I can get at this tree easier from this side. Okay, now let's see if I can get this paint pen flowing. This pigment ink that I just applied is sitting on this surface like this. It's probably almost dry, but I'm going to see if I can get some application of this white on top of it. Okay, the paint pen's flowing good. I thought sometimes when I'm going like this onto this white pigment ink, it can kind of clog my pen a little bit. Yeah, just temporarily, and I have to get it flowing again, but it's going pretty good. Okay, so I wouldn't do a whole line like this. Break it up, okay? So I'm putting a little bit of highlights down here, right there, up here. And on some of these branches where they're kind of coming into contact with the tree, maybe I'll put a little bit of extra white on them, like it's, there's like a buildup of a little bit of snow or something like that on them. So it's on the top sides of these branches, kind of where they kind of Y off from either from the main trunk or, just from, the main branch or something like that. Okay, so anyways, you can see some of those highlights on this one. And then these ones do not have the highlights. It kind of makes a pretty big difference now I look at it, huh? I guess it's because the background is just so dark, so these highlights on these ones really stand out more. Now on a gold or something like that, it's not going to stand out as much, so it'll be a little bit more subtle, but this one's really standing out quite a bit, I think. Stomping grounds in northern Wisconsin. That sounds great, Ronnie. I enjoyed my trip to northern Wisconsin and Sainer teaching classes up there. I had that whole, I don't know, whatever, that like campground or, this one area to myself on a lake because I was teaching up there. I don't know, I don't know if it was in the fall or if it was just after, the summer vacation for everyone, so... and it was probably just before this grouping of cabins probably closed for the season because, like I said, I was the only one there. I was teaching out there, and my client, made the, or I don't know, maybe she told me where to stay. Yeah, it was like totally awesome. I think I was mentioning in another live stream. I don't know. This is pre-internet or pre-email communication. I think no, maybe email was up because I don't remember talking with anyone. Yeah, I think that was it. So they said, okay, they're not going to be there when I get there because I was getting in there late. From flying out from the West Coast here, and with the time change. And then there's no one else at the lake, so they weren't going to wait for me getting in there after dark. Driving up from Rhinelander, I think that was the airport, and they said, yeah, they're not going to be there when I get in, but I'm good with the reservation. I said, well, how do I know where, what cabin I'm in? And he says, oh, I'll just leave the light on that cabin that you're going to be in. But I didn't know there wasn't going to be like a single other, not one other person staying there. And like, I don't know, there's probably 20, 25 cabins there, I'm guessing. So that's my northern Wisconsin story. All right, so see, there's my highlights right in there. Okay. I think it makes the trees stand out a little bit more, kind of in a three-dimensional way. Let's put a little bit of like highlights on our winter brush plant here. I'm going to make it look like maybe like some ice, you know, is crystallized on some of these forms down here like that. Okay. I'll add a little bit of stippling on here. It looks like it can take it. Sometimes I don't do this because if it would make it stand out too much, but since I'm doing white on white, it's just more of a subtle thing. Like that. I like the way that one looks. I'll try it on some of those other holographics at some point in time, but you can't get this, as far as I know, you might be able to get this blue one on some of their website somewhere. It's not on Amazon as far as I can tell. You know, this real kind of light pillory looking type of scene. Someone asked me, why don't I do this kind of on a horizontal like this? And it looks really great on a horizontal, but I tend to think that this looks a little bit more wintry like this because it's more kind of northern light-y-ish looking like that. So I tend to go vertical. And plus the vertical kind of reiterates the vertical kind of, I don't know, whatever direction of those trees too, like that. I guess if you did it kind of like this too, it would probably show through these trunks a little bit more kind of severely because it would be like at a 90-degree angle from it and it would be showing right through very specific areas like this where even when you do these light pillars like this, it kind of blends in with the tree a little bit more. The trunks, you know, the vertical trunks like that. So, but that being said, who knows, maybe it, you know, that kind of contrast of kind of directional contrast might look really good. I don't know. But okay, so going back to this though, but these horizontal kind of light pillars like this, I really like it for like skies. And if I put like the Lakeside Cove in here or something like that, where you have these other pattern kind of striations like that or holographic effects down here, it looks like, you know, the water is reflecting the things that are going up in the sky, so that's really fun. Okay, so let's add in a few of these little stars, or I'm gonna mix it up here. I'm gonna, instead of just doing stars, I'm gonna make some of these little dots. I'm gonna try to make it look like kind of snowfall in here. Okay, so I'll put some of these dots in front or right over my objects. Okay, so it's not just going to be in the background. When you do it all in the background, it tends to look more like stars or reference stars. And I know this is a, you know, moonlit, you know, it looks like a cloudless night, so where would the, you know, the snowfall be coming from? Well, I just think it looks good, so who cares? Or maybe it's kind of up in the branches, and there was like some wind that came by and it shook some of the, you know, the accumulation of snow off the branches then. I don't care, you know what I mean? I think it looks like a good texture, so I just do it, and I don't, you know, kind of, we don't have to kind of follow whatever the properties of the natural world is. We're doing the visual world here. Or we're making our own. All right. So some of these I'm making kind of big. When you do them like that, it tends to look a little bit more snowfall-ish. So hopefully this looks like, I don't know, another layer of, I guess, objects. It's snow. So hopefully it looks a little even more three-dimensional like this, using this holographic foil like this. So you have the trees kind of are, I don't know, the snow is like the closest thing to us. Then you get the, I don't know, these little bushes and the trees. That's another layer. And then the moon represents something far off in the distance, you know, but everything is kind of behind or in front of the holographic, you know, background sky like that. And see this? I mean, see this line's showing right through, right in here. I guess there's less white in here, but when you get into this area like that, that little bit, I didn't do a super thick layer of that white ink there, but see, it's stopping this shard of holographic. I mean, you just see it a little bit shining through there, which I kind of like because it's kind of reflecting off of the snow a little bit. But I think that blocking out from the white ink, I think, did a reasonably good job, and without having to apply like a super thick slathering of it on this. So I don't know. I think that makes for a pretty fun card. And like I said, I've removed the need to stamp over the top of these trees again with, you know, the black impressions over the top of that. So, but again, I think I like this maybe a little bit better than this one. Although I do like this one, but you know, this one seems... Now this one's using the holographic too, but just in terms of the effect here. So this is my first, you know, test using that type of spray fixative over the top of the foil like that. And this one I added those little crystals on there. Just, it needed something up there. And I didn't want to... Okay, now see on this one how much darker the trees are. I thought those stars in the background would just stand out too much, unless I did them in blue, a blue paint pen. Like a dark, maybe a dark blue and a medium blue or something like that. So I just did these twinkly little, you know, stars like that, because they are kind of light, but they also kind of reflect, you know, some of the colors. Like, see that one right there is kind of, it's capturing some of that blue, so it's like blue right there. So it's like a little blue twinkle like that. But this one with the sealant laid down first before the trees, I think that's the way to go on something like this. So, yeah. Okay, let's see what we have here. So candy, you know, you can, you know, think about that, you know, using a spray. Okay, so I used spray fixative on here too. Not a acrylic. Well, spray fixative is acrylic, but it's just much thinner. So it didn't change the surface as much, I think, as a thicker kind of gloss spray. Okay. Yeah, you think it would, but I don't know. The spray fixative, I guess, it's designed to not alter or try to prevent as much altering of the whatever's laid down as possible. So I think it just goes down on here in a much thinner coating. Maybe that's it. But I would have thought it would have made it look a lot flatter looking. And it does a little bit, but it's not too bad. I think that's, I don't know, that holographic's really super, I don't know, powerful and loud as ever, it seems to me. So, so on this one, it'll be 3 layers of that spray fixative. Okay, so in the beginning, what I was saying is I spray fixed the surface of the holographic foil, and then I printed my birch trees. These 2 right here are on this side over here, and then this one is over here. Okay, just in white ink. And then I spray sealed that off. And then I added in my extra white lighting onto those trees. And if I didn't do that, when I was adding in this white onto that, a lot of my texturing of these birch trees would just blend in with that application of white. That's why you lock that down first. And also because when you're doing all these other things, you don't have to worry about, touching and blurring out your tree trunks as you're doing all these other types of things on here, okay? And then, like, someone asked, Alyssa asked, hey, do you spray seal it when you're done? And yeah, you do. So this is probably dry on here. And even if it's not, you can spray seal it though with a spray fixative. If you don't have a spray fixative, you can try your, just using your regular acrylic sprays. The thicker acrylic sprays though, you can spray from distance, like, I don't know, 12 inches, and just give it a light spray. Don't go, you're just going like hitting it like spray, 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 like little burst. And that'll go on there a little bit thinner, but it does, stay on the surface for that little microsecond longer than a thin spray fixative. So as it's sitting there kind of wet, it can potentially manipulate the inks a little bit more. Sometimes it's cool because it gives it a little bit of extra texture, but if you want to just kind of maintain what you see like that, the spray fixative seems to be the way to go. I wasn't doing that until recently. I don't know, I thought I was doing something at night, and I thought I was grabbing my can of triple thick, actually. But when I looked at it, it's like, oh, that was the spray fixative. And I think when I compared the spray fixative to the Krylon triple thick, on something else, I thought we were talking about, spraying these pieces and it really changing, like almost like bleaching out the color of the foils. And it's because, those colors are just kind of loose on there. They've been printed over the surface. They make those foils, so you can cut out things with them and use them as little party favors. You know what I mean? They're not really designed to be stamped on, with liquid media applied to them so that, it's putting them back into solution like that. So, but like I said, if just, a quick spray, it takes like, I don't know, like 5 seconds or something like that. And it also dries really fast too, the spray fixative. So it's just really just a quick process. And I think it's, just one extra little step with each one of these sealants, in order to be able to do stuff like this. So it makes it possible to do this type of easy, type of process like this. So yeah. So if you run into a different type of surface that seems to be bleeding on your papers, just use the spray fixative on it. I don't think I need to use it on this real kind of super mirrored silver and gold one, because I don't remember ever getting any kind of bleeding through of like my inks on this one right here. Okay, I think it has some kind of coating over the top of the coloring on this one, which maybe accounts for it being so mirror-like like that, so yeah. You can see the difference like that, between this one. And this one also is the one that comes in like silver that I use for my reflection cards. So doing a variety of cards using poppy stencils, holographic scenes, lots of fun. And Linda, you're doing them all 11 by 17 too, right? Linda said for her Christmas cards, her 11 by 17s that she's working on, if you send her a note here on YouTube, she'll send you one of those originals. Don't send her your address. She's not gonna do that. Silver reflective, Juvail, Amazon 50 sheets. That's pretty good. Egg Candy, is that super? Okay, that's mirrored. Okay, so everyone take note of that. That's a really good price there. I've been getting this one from what was that? The something boutique, gift boutique, and that was 60 sheets for, I think it's now 19 or something, like 19.99. So that 15 for 12.99 sounds like really good. And if it's, yeah, we just need to know if it's mirrored, because sometimes you can't tell by looking at the little photos on Amazon. Because sometimes I've ordered like a silver foil and it's more of like that brushed aluminum type. It's not as reflective. So if you want that kind of real mirrored like for those reflection cards, that's what we want out of that silver. I have lots of holographic. The stuff I had was the same as you. I didn't need to order. I think your lighting, the studio makes them pretty. It might, yeah. When I hold this up, this is picking up my lights here. So I have a bunch of light. It's like that light right there. You can see my, and then I have this one over here. So it's these big fluorescent lights kind of showing up. But when I take it outside to spray, it's really cool too. Like that. So put this on something. I need to reorder. Okay, so talking about that silver, I do need to reorder some of that silver. I wanted to put this one with that silver frame around it, but I think I'm out of my silver. I was looking for it. So I've been moving it around though because I've been doing like my matting and trimming and stuff like that of these papers into different rooms. So I wasn't sure if I was out of it, but I think this one will look really good with a little bit of a. So you do that. This is what I do on all of my pieces practically. I put that little white kind of border around it like that, like this one right here. So it picks up some of the thinner types of little touches with the white pen like that. And I think this one will look good with a silver around it like that. That real mirrored silver looking paper. But let's see. Spraying first does make the white. Yeah, that really. Now these are two different silver, cards, but this one right here, I'm pretty sure that it had that same kind of application of blue as this one because again, when I spray sealed it, a couple drops hit this of my spray fixative, and it kind of it bleached out a couple little. Like dots on there, just like it would on this one if I spray it too kind of thickly. So spray sealing, I mean, you can try it without it, on your different brands of cardstocks and see if you really need to do it. Have a little test strip or something like that and, print out a couple things and see how it maintains, in this case, these more kind of reversed out looking impressions where you're going white on dark. And then see if you need it or not. The less work, the better, in my opinion. So, what I mean? If you don't need to spray it. And so who asked that? Was it Candy? Did you ask about the white stays on? The white stays on might just dry so fast that your inks from the surface aren't going to permeate it, so you might not need to do it with a white stays on as opposed to the white brilliance. The one thing about the white brilliance, though, you can do these things like this down here in the slope and on the sides of the trees, kind of adding that lighting to it. And the stays on, I don't think you're going to be able to do that. I think it just dries too fast, like even if you try to put it on a cotton ball or something like that, as you're inking up on the cotton ball, I'm guessing by the time you lift it up, practically, it's probably dry on there. So I don't think you'd be able to do, little things like that. You might be able to add lighting with something else, though. I don't know. I was born in a small town near there. What a small world. I love that area up there. That was so nice up there. Yeah. I don't know when that was, but that was one of the more memorable trips. And just driving up there. From Rhinelander to, the store there in Sainer. And then that little lake, I don't know, whatever it was. I don't know if it was the little lake. It was a decent, good-sized lake, but that campground area was just a short distance from there. But the one thing I remember about that, it was I looked at that, I think there was like, whatever, there was like a canoe or something like that, or something that came with the cabin, but I only figured that out like the last night I was there or when I was leaving or something like that. But I was done teaching, and I think it was before daylight savings had ended, so I could have paddled out, one of those nights up there. After I got back to my room, or cabin. But I don't know. I didn't know. I think maybe I didn't know where the paddles were or something like that. Or I don't know. There was something like that. But I should have taken that out there, though. Is the spray fixative... The spray fixative I have is Best Choice. Is that the name of the fixative? The brand? How does it affect the paper? It shouldn't... Okay, so Candy, if I like spray fixed like this and I hit it from like 1 inch away, it would give a real thick application of it on there. And that'll affect it a lot more, right, than if you hit something from distance and then there's just a light kind of dusting almost of that spray just kind of laying down on the surface. And when you're doing it like that, it's as soon as it hits the surface, it's like drying instantly, okay? Now I'm not so careful with my spray, you know what I mean? I don't have things like down to a science. So I'm kind of spraying from 12 inches. I'm kind of hitting in bursts. Like if I have more white ink right here, I'm kind of hitting, I'm hitting that with a burst like that, and especially like my moon area. But like right in here, I'm trying not to apply too much, so I might hit it from distance out here. And I'm not looking to lock up everything perfectly. I'm just kind of getting a dusting down like this, and I'm hitting it a little bit more in those thicker areas like here, down here in the, whatever, the forest floor down there. So I am hitting that, a little bit more. So like all in all, it's taking me like 5 seconds, okay? So I'm hitting the like spray, probably for down like that. In this area, I'm not using quite as much white, so I'm probably hitting it like this down here. I'll spray across like that. And I'm doing it from quite a distance, so I know that there's some kind of residual spray that's going to be hitting up here. So maybe even after I spray, if someone ran their finger down like that, some of that ink might come off. Okay, but I'm not sending this card out to someone that's going to be doing this over the surface, so I don't need to lock it down perfectly. And usually I put it on I'm putting it in like a clear envelope anyway. So I don't know how people would, and I never asked them, hey, did you put the card on display or something like that? And did you take it out of the clear envelope? One of those like Mylar, really super clear envelopes, where you can see, all the effects and everything like right through the envelope, and it's kind of unimpeded, in terms of the look. So I don't know. I would tend to think that people would probably just leave it in the envelope. But even if it was taken out, everything's locked down with that really thin layer like that. Yeah. You didn't finish triple thick versus fixative. Oh, the fixative is better than the triple thick. It doesn't affect it as much. Now the triple thick, I really love the triple thick on... God, I was using that on something, and I thought it would affect something a lot more. Maybe it was my semi-gloss cardstock. I thought it would make it glossier, but it didn't. And of course, I love the triple thick on like glossy cardstock because it makes the glossy like even glossier looking. So it was a good way to go. The triple thick sometimes too, per can, I always found it to be cheaper too. So, but on this one right here, I think it's just too thick for it. I think I tried it on there, but it was just too thick. Oh, I was doing it on some of my, not all of these ones, but I hit like my triple thick on one of these, or a couple of them, and it was too apparent on there. I mean, it looked okay. It made for a little bit of extra texturing on there, but I like the spray fixative, the thinner spray fixative instead. I thought the spray fixative, I haven't been using the spray fixative because it's a matte, spray over the years, because I thought it would make my shiny cards too matte looking. And it probably does more than like a UV or a triple thick, but it didn't affect it so much. But again, I'm not spray sealing like a ton of it out, onto here. So maybe if I gave it like 3 coats or something like that with the matte spray fixative, maybe that would alter it, quite a bit. I don't know. And on something like this, it might mute the holographic nature of the paper, too much or something like. I don't know. Is it such thing as too much? I mean, this is a little bit more matte than here. Well, let's take a look. So this is two layers of the spray fixative on top of this because I used it first and then I locked down my initial impressions with it. So let's see. This one is this one right here. And remember, I need to go with one more layer here, so I don't know if we'll be able to see this on camera, but I don't know if you can tell too much. Of course, there's like different lighting on here. Let's see. Did it knock out my yellow orange or pinkish look? Here, let me just move this over here. Maybe it's just where my lights are above. Well, I don't know. You can, yeah, I guess it did. You can see, kind of the difference there, right? Here, let's do it like this. I think the pinks and yellows, right, are much more profound in the uncoated holographic, like that. And a little bit more muted with the matte spray applied to it. Yeah. So that being said, there's no other way around it, though. Unless you're only going with the stays on impressions on here, okay? But to do this kind of lighting like this with the white brilliance, you pretty much have to lock them down. Yeah, see that white like that, and that or the yellow right there, as opposed to this yellow over here. It's a little bit more muted. That being said, is this one way too loud, for the background? Probably. So it's probably good that it's kind of muted a little bit, because I think I'd be able to see all of that through these trees, these tree trunks, a lot more without the spray sealant. You know what I mean? So, and it might show through like all this area down here just too much. So, I don't know. Yeah. Naked, sprayed. All right, so there you have it. These cards like this, this one right here, I mean, I don't know, this live stream's like going on here almost an hour. But this card like this card's, I don't know, maybe if I was mass producing this one, I think I think I could do this one right here. Like, I don't know, about 10 minutes, okay, but maybe 15 or something like that after I got going. I'd do all these little snowbanks all at the same time. And it's just kind of laying down that stuff on those trees, the lighting on those trees that, it takes a little bit of time like that. But I don't know, not too long, I think, for the, it's not too long of a process for that, pretty dynamic end result like that. And like I said, you just kind of let that paper kind of do a lot of the work and, just apply some, some minimal techniques over the top of it, and it tends to do the job, just like on the wood grain paper, something like that. Yeah, so, okay, yeah, candy, yeah, that's what yeah, so I don't know. It toned it down, yeah. Canoes are apropos. Oh, sorry, you didn't realize it sooner. It was perfect weather, too, out there. Oh, I think everyone up there. Okay, so a lot of people were asking me, as I'm remembering it now, I think people were asking me, they want like a pontoon boat. Was that what they call it? They wanted a pontoon boat. I think that was where I was at, where people were asking about that stamp design, which I've never gotten around to doing because I'm just remembering it right now. The UV, but it's gotten expensive. It has gotten, yeah, a little bit more expensive, hasn't it? So one of the things, if you guys haven't bought like a spray sealant before, I don't know, what are they, Candy? What's the UV? It hasn't gotten up like $12, has it? Well, one time, like the triple thicks, I bought like a 3-pack. I thought it was like $9 for 3 cans. It was crazy. I think I did an unopening video of it too, or something like that. But those ones are like super cheap. The spray fixatives, I don't know how much they are. I don't know how much they are like in Canada or something like that. But and there's different brands too. But I think the Krylon one, just because it's such a big brand, those ones I think have been the cheapest from what I've seen before. You get those. I don't know whatever those art brands are, but they don't move. There's not as much volume in sales, so I think that they tend to be a little bit more expensive. I don't know if they're a different formula, but I got to think they're roughly the same type of thing. But I'm trying to think of some of those other brands. I don't know if it was like Grumbacher or something like that, or some of these other companies that make these like sealants. But something like the spray fixative from Krylon is just going to be. I have to think that it's just as archival and non-acid, free, because they're meant for the art market. So they're not going to make something that's going to, damage original works or media either. So, but yeah, I don't know. Look around. Something like Dick Blick is often cheaper. You'd have to just kind of balance that against like shipping prices. But other great stores are like, what was that? Oh, Mr. Art. I haven't checked the prices in a long time, but Mr. Art typically had some really good prices on like art sprays. But again, like the Krylon ones are probably like on the shelf at places like Michael's, I would think. I would think that would be the brand that they would have, but I'm not sure. And I don't know, it's like a Cyber Monday today. There might be like a 40% off sale on them or something like that. And 1 can, if you're using it like I do, and not like totally, and giving a huge slathering to every piece, I think I can get through. Like my last can of UV, I think I spray sealed off maybe 100 different cards using that. Not the metallics, but just a bunch of cards that I was that I had stamped previously, and I was just giving away, with all orders that were received at that time. I don't know, I had years worth of cards just showing up everywhere. I'd come across a pile of cards that I was, doing at some point in time, maybe at a convention or something like that. But I think it had to have been at least 100 cards I went through. And if you're spray sealing cards that are on cardstock, and if you've used dye-based inks on them or something like that, if they are nice and rich and saturated in color still, it bumped up the intensities and richness even more. Or if some pieces with some types of inks, they dry a little bit dull, even right after you stamp them, it brings back the saturation of them. So that being said, if you just spray sealed, it doesn't have to be scenes either. It really increases the intensity of inks by quite a bit, and it brings them back to kind of more of that freshly stamped or colored piece. And 1 can, I don't know, it's like maybe the price of 2 stamp pads or something like that, but you can use it on 100% of your cards, and you can use it all the time. So it's one of those mediums that, I don't know, I think should really be in everyone's kind of supplies. And some people don't like, taken the time to go out there and spray them. I totally get it. You know, some of these pieces that I had, I didn't spray right away, so they were sitting around for years. But if you're sending stuff out, they can really kind of you know, just increase that level of, especially intensity, but also contrast, because you make other inks that might have dried a little bit lighter and duller, even more intense or brighter, sometimes more than it looked too when you, before, you know, right when you stamped it too. It can make it look even better. And if it's on like a semi-gloss or a glossy cardstock, it makes it even more so. Or even the spray fixatives too on inks on like a matte, you know, I don't know. It doesn't. It's not supposed to manipulate it, but it, you know, it can just lock things down a little bit more too. So, anyways, it's a good idea to get this stuff. You know, if you haven't used it before, and you like really bright, you know, colors or something like that, it can do that for not this type of technique right here, but just, you know, where we're using our like dye-based inks to color things, especially if you're spray sealing something like alcohol inks on UPO paper, something like that, be careful and maybe use more of the spray fix if you want to do something like that, because you don't want that acrylic, you know, spray sitting on top of, you know, something like a alcohol ink wet for even a couple seconds, because it can make, you know, those types of inks run a little bit more. So $16 plus in Canada. Okay. It's probably gone up, like up there just as much as anywhere else. But 16, that doesn't sound too bad for Canada. At least you didn't say like 20 or something like that, you know, Canadian dollars. Cardstops look the same. Adding inks to the surface changed it slightly. Naked will look naked. Michael's Canada stopped carrying Krylon. Oh, maybe that's what you were just saying. All types, not just fixative. It's probably the aerosols then, right? All right, folks. So anyway, you know, holographic, straight blue foil like this. These are the just kind of more of a like a brushed aluminum look on there. I tend to think that this white is a pretty good way to go, you know, for a quick and easy style of application right there. So I don't know, that was really fun to do. I really like seeing how this one came together, and I like a little bit of a stronger impression on there than this one right here, although I think it looks okay. A little bit more of that kind of glow in the dark-ish looking imprint. But, you know, that it darkened so much from that ink permeating my white kind of unexpectedly. I don't know if I like that. If I was to do this one like this, again, stamping directly onto the foil, I would do it something like this. I would do something like this. I would probably have, like if it was wider like that, okay, I would have like these trees in here somewhere, but then I would spray seal it off, and then I would go for like more trees like this interspersed in here, but much lighter. So I would utilize that ink, whatever, that blue permeating the white look for my background birch trees, and I would have these other ones more on the you know. So now that I'm saying that, I'm probably going to have to try it, because I'm going to be curious to see that type of look right there. But yeah, I would do that. I would use these as background trees. I would color it in, you know, where that blue is, you know, kind of bleaching, you know, leaching into the white, and then yeah, spray seal it off, and then go for these impressions right over the in the foreground. So I don't know, that might look pretty cool. It might give us a little bit more depth if it worked. So okay, so Krylon UV 13. That's not too much of a difference. What did Linda say it was up there? 16. So I don't know, 14 to 16. It's only a $2 difference. unless that's a spray fixative. Or I don't know. You said I don't know where that is. That's $16 in Canada is, but hmm. Yeah, be careful with the Krylon triple thick. Okay, so see, can't this is this is reminding me of certain things here. Okay, so one of the things I started doing, not because I was planning it, but I was going outside and spray sealing some things at night, just because that's when I got around to doing some of those things finally, after doing stuff during the daytime. But in colder temperatures, I found that the triple thick, I had more control over it because probably sometimes you get those little, thicker little splotches, especially you got to watch out for your tip. Now, this is a spray can right here, but that triple thick, it starts to build up on your, it starts to build up on this tip right here. Okay, if you don't kind of get it off there. So you have to make sure that this is nice and clear, because if you have this little button of acrylic that's built up there, it can kind of hit that, and then it's kind of leaving like a thick little drop of it on there. And then as you're spraying it, it's kind of shooting out and then landing on it, okay? Okay, but what I'm getting at when I was doing this at nighttime, if I got those little droplets on there, they seem to stay in solution longer rather than kind of drying in a couple seconds. So as I was spraying it like that, it was just, I got a smoother application of spray in colder, I don't know, whatever temperatures like that. So, and I don't know, I get the best spraying that I ever have with the triple thick, like I said, at nighttime, Now, if it's 100 degrees at night, it's not going to work, but, just cooler temperatures like that. So that being said, just watch out for any kind of things like splattering or dripping too. Oh, and one of the things that I usually like to do with my cans, like with the UV, I'd like to have my pieces kind of more vertical so that when I'm spraying, it's not just flat like that, so I'm not getting a little splatter. But with the triple thick, I was finding that if I had things flat like that, and then I was spraying like that, I got the best results for that. So the thing is, if you have any questions about it, just do a couple of little test things. If you're spraying different types of surfaces too, because the sprays go on differently with a non-porous surface than they do with like a matte cardstock or something like that. So you'll get the feel of it, or you kind of make a little note of it or something like that, and just I don't know, have a little test strip or something like that, and do. I don't know, do whatever spray you're working with. They have different viscosities. The triple thick, of course, is going to be triple thick. It's all this one I almost found like it's like 5 times thicker than the like the UV spray, and then it's probably like 10 times thicker than your workable fixatives, again, which are more binder and less acrylic on them, and then they're textured too. So they're going to be a little bit different from one another. So anyways, all right. Thanks for jumping in on this impromptu piece right here. I was really curious about these white, this one used to be white impressions, but the white on darks like that. And I don't know, I like this holographic one. I didn't know if the white impressions, again, would, and the color, the blocking out, the highlighting with the extra white paint would be enough to make these images, these outline styles of images, at that stand out enough off of the super loud holographic papers. And I think it did okay like that, without filling in the trees completely with white ink like that, because I wanted, some variation on there, but I think that did a pretty good job on there. So anyway, if you have kind of holographics like this, loud types of cardstocks, I think that's one way to approach it with solid styles of imagery. You can just stamp out like a pine tree or something like that against that background in white, and it would take care of it because it's like a solid, you know, style of image. But for the open styles of images, just a little bit of extra white pigment ink, you know, it probably will do the job, I guess. So I don't know. It kind of opens up some more possibilities as far as the usage of this type of paper goes, to me. So, all right, 34 degrees at night there. So candy, you can probably spray during the daytime. When I was spraying, it was probably like 50 degrees outside or something like that at nighttime, you know. I don't remember when it was, but it occurred to me, oh, I think, you know, this is the time to, you know, a better time to start, you know, using the triple. The triple thick when it was just really hot and, you know, I don't know, whatever outside. Yeah, it was a little bit thick for that. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining in. And if you like these vids, please hit the like button, all that kind of fun stuff. Hope to see you in the next experiment. I need to do less experimenting. I need to do, maybe I'll do this one, but we'll try to see if we can do something like that. Not the exact same one, but let's see if we can do like a, I don't know, a 10-minute card or something like that on one of these holographics maybe. And, you know, a real quick card. It'll open it up for things like Christmas cards or something like that if we, you know, we can do stuff like that or this or something like that on in like 10 minutes or something like that per piece. Ordered those when I ordered your other trees. Oh, at Art Foamies. They released these last Tuesday, I think it was. So I don't know when you ordered those, Terry, but like I said, you can probably use the smaller versions of it, but these ones are just so much wider. So when I wanted to do that kind of partial coloring, if these things were like really narrow. Okay, so if you're doing this with like the rubber versions, just take your cotton ball, which is really wide like this, and then squeeze it down where it's like really kind of narrow like that. And then, you know, come in like that. Or maybe you go more on like a vertical direction. I'm showing you on the foamy right here, but that's what you would do on the rubber version of it. So anyway, but they'll always be there. If you're placing another order on Art Foamy sometime. But fun stuff there. I really like these. I want to do those background ones like that because I think those ones would look pretty striking in the background too, with these kind of brighter ones in the foreground. I'll have to see what that looks like. So we'll see if we can kind of create some kind of interesting looking depth on something like one of these blue the blue metallics like this. Yeah. All right, everyone. Have a great night, and hope to see you on the next live stream, whenever that is. Or maybe, I don't know. It'll be that depth one or something like that. I'm not sure. But these metallics sure are fun to do. All right. Good night.